Hey, Bethany, I can't hear you. You're muted. How are you doing, babes? Ron, did you mute Bethany? Nope, not yet. Can you hear me now? No. Oh my goodness. It was working perfect before. Nope, sorry. Still no. Still no. What happened? What happened, babes? Okay, well, you know what? While Bethany's working out her technical difficulties, I want to welcome you to the show. Holy Shiftballs, it's Thursday, baby, and we have got a great show for you today. Chime in anytime, Bethany, and keep trying to get that connection to work. Hey, so this week on the show, I'm going to tell you about my Holy Shiftballs moments, and hopefully Bethany will be. There we go. She's here.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you. That's awesome. Welcome, Bethany. Nice to have you on.
Hello, Sharon. Wow, that was interesting.
It always is. It always freaking
It is. Anything with me is always there's going to be some kind of wonky, wacky fun. Yeah. Ready. Well, good, Sharon. Well, welcome. It is. It so much is. It's so much fun to be me. I'm going to tell you that much.
Okay, so how are you, Bethany? And what was your Holy Shiftballs moment this week?
Girl. I've had one heck of a Holy Shiftball moment this week. My Holy Shiftball, I had the great pleasure. I got to go spend 2 weeks down in Daytona, Florida. Absolutely beautiful weather, 80 degrees. I get on an airplane last night and I fly back home to Memphis. I go get my suitcase, and as I'm going outside, as I'm in a sweatshirt right now. I step outside, and when I tell you, girl, it was like I was slammed back into my body. The absolute freezing cold temperature of 32 degrees, Fahrenheit, absolutely, just pounded me. And I was like, and it was so interesting because, like I said, I was, catapulted back into my body, and I was like, wow, this is interesting. All my intelligences came up, my mental, body, my emotional body, my physical body, and I feel like I'm just getting violated by this weather.
An absolute violation. Love it.
Yeah, total. I was like, whoa, I am not back in Florida anymore. I am totally in, Memphis. Wow. So yeah, that was my Holy Shiftball moment this week. The weather and, absolutely being able to shift my body, my frequency from one climate to the next, and how it shows up within my body and in my mind and in my emotions. So yeah, it was pretty amazing. How about you? What was your Holy Shiftball moment this week?
Before I get to mine, that's really funny because for those of you keeping score or paying attention, in Celsius, I was going to say in Canadian, in Celsius, she went from plus 25 to 0. So that's, yeah. So
yeah,
her body went and it's gone. Who needs a cold plunge? You actually had a physical cold plunge. You don't need a big tub with ice water in it. You don't need
no.
Those and of us like cold weather don't need that shit.
I know, and it's like it's like that humidity of the cold, and it's just like, if you think humidity something, you got to come to Memphis in the summer. It's like walking into Satan's ass.
No, that's a violation. That's a violation right there.
So I cannot wait to hear about your Holy Shiftball, sister.
Well, mine wasn't quite so dramatic. I was sitting in my car. I'd been shopping, and I'm sitting in my car, and I put it reverse to back out of my space, and all of a sudden this car is backing in beside me, and it's backing in. I'm like, okay, well, they must just be turning around because there's not enough room to fit a car in the space beside me. No, this rich old bag decides she's going to back in beside me, right? So I'm like, what the heck? There's literally this much room in between cars on both sides of her. She could not get out of her vehicle. So I'm like, what the heck? So, immediately I had a little reaction. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing here? So I back out a little bit and I pull up beside her and roll down my window. And she's like, what? What is the problem? I said, well, I can't back out because our mirrors are this wide. My mirror is going to hit your mirror, and I'm not comfortable with that. Like, I don't know how we're going to do this. She goes, oh, you're fine. Just back out. It'll just be fine. And she is condescending. Well, I got my back up in the air a little bit. I'm like, wait a minute. Wait. So I thought, all right. So I said to her, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to pull up and park here and wait until you leave because I can't get out around your mirror. So, so that I don't damage your vehicle, I'm just going to park here. She goes, no. I need to shop. You need to leave. You need to leave because I need to go shopping. I'm like, well, then maybe you should have chose a different parking spot. Like, I don't know what to tell you. And I'm laughing, right? So I did pull up and I sat there for about 3 or 4 minutes. And then I thought, okay, don't be ridiculous. Be the bigger person. Come on. So I got into my heart-centered space and thought, okay, I'm going to do this. So my Holy Shiftballs moment was realizing how far I've come. Because 10 years ago, when she started being condescending to me, I would have went up one side, down the other, through the center. Her head would have fucking spun. She wouldn't have known what the hell. And she would have realized that, well, she did realize who was in the position of power because she couldn't get out of her vehicle unless I left. So, yeah, so I realized how far I've come. I stayed in my zen, I stayed in my heart, and I was polite and I laughed. I found the humor in it, and I left quietly. There was no scene, there was no crying. Not that I would have been crying, but she sure as hell would have been. So there was none of that. I didn't ruin her day.
So you had an absolute awareness of growth.
Yes.
Look
Progress.
at you,
clearly still have some growth to do because I did sit there and make her sweat for 3 or 4 minutes. So is there room to grow? Maybe a little bit.
Just slightly. Well, awesome. Well, who do we have on the show this week, Sharon?
We have. Okay, so I'm excited about this week's guest. Her name is Amanda Wittenborn. She's the dynamic entrepreneurial speaker and a business coach with a passion for helping female entrepreneurs turn their dreams into reality. She's dedicated to helping women build their confidence, achieve financial stability, and create a lifestyle that is with ultimate flexibility. In other words, she supports women to succeed on their terms. And that is awesome. I love that. So without further ado, we welcome Amanda Wittenborn to the show. Hey, Amanda.
Hey, hi. So happy to be here.
We're happy to have you.
Yes. Go ahead, Sharon. Take it away.
Oh,
well, you know, Amanda, I'm really curious. I'm really interested into hearing what was your holy shiftball that allowed you to step into your purpose and what you're here to bring today.
Absolutely. I am here to share it. When you posted that you're looking for guests and what you like to have on the show, I was like, oh, I have the perfect story. So I'm really excited to share. So I'll share a little bit about how I started my business, the Holy Shiftball moment, and what I'm up to these days too. So from the time I had my first son, who's about to turn 20, I loved throwing themed parties. I like to joke that I was throwing Pinterest-worthy parties before Pinterest even existed. It's hard to believe that Pinterest wasn't around 20 years ago, but I loved coordinating all the little details, and I would make all these cute little things for their parties. And friends would ask me, where'd you get that? And I would tell them that I made it. And so eventually they started having me make things for their parties too. And one day a friend said, you should try and sell this. And I thought, nobody's going to buy this. But for some reason, I was like, okay, maybe I will try and sell this. And so I put some things up for sale on Etsy. And surprisingly enough, people did start buying it. And now I should also mention that when my son was really little, my husband and I were really broke. There was an insurance snafu when he was born that just put us into a significant amount of debt. And we just struggled a lot. And so when I started selling items, it really was just so that I could pay for T-ball or, extra music classes or something like that, because we just didn't have the money to do anything like that. And so I started selling on Etsy, and things started selling and they were working. And so I just started adding more and more things. And over 3 or 4 years, I built up my Etsy store to the point where I was probably making about $3,000 to $5,000 a month. It was the most extra income my husband and I had ever had. We were finally financially stable. We were not living paycheck to paycheck. Our bills were paid. We were debt free. It was really great. So I was able to build that business up and get us to a really comfortable place. Shortly after I had my third son, I was still in the newborn phase and I was sleep deprived, and I got an email from Etsy with a flag on my account. And it was for something that I had permission to sell. And so I said, okay, I'll look at that later. Well, a week went by and I had forgotten to look at it. And another flag came through and Etsy permanently shut down my store. And I have been banned for life. So I'm not sure if you knew this, but you are talking to an outlaw.
What were you selling, Amanda? Holy smokes.
I
You took those
know.
party supplies to a whole new level. You
I
put the
guess
party
so.
to party.
You rebel. You rebel.
I know. Even after I cleared it up, Etsy still would not open my store. So to this day, I'm banned for life. And I can joke about it now because I know what it looks like years later. But when that happened, that was really, really devastating. And I don't know. I guess maybe that's what it feels like to be fired from a job that you love. I don't know. I was just devastated. And for months, I just thought my dream of running my own business and selling party supplies that I loved just was never going to happen again. And somebody that I followed on Etsy, another party supply company, I was on her email list and she was looking for a designer. And I was like, well, that might be fun. And so I applied to actually design party supplies for her. And she hired me. And it was one of the best relationships I've ever had. We learned so much from each other. And I think the thing that really sparked in me was like, I still want to do this. I still want to design party supplies. This is still for me and I'm going to figure it out. And so I knew I had products that people liked. I just needed to get them in front of an audience. That was really the challenge I was up against. And where's the best audience but on Amazon? And so when I was selling on Etsy, everything was a digital download. So you would order it and then you would download it and you would have to print it and cut it and put it together yourself. Amazon doesn't allow that kind of product. And so I kept thinking, how can I make this work on Amazon? How can I do a digital download? And the truth was there was no way to do it. And so what I had to do was figure out what would work on Amazon. So instead of a personalized invitation, I was like, well, I could try and sell a fill-in style that's just ready to go and they would handwrite their details. But I found myself thinking, nobody's going to want to handwrite their details into an invitation. But for some reason, I decided I was going to try it anyway, and I put a few up for sale. So I made, 10 of the most popular themes at that time, and I put them up for sale and just kind of thought, well, we'll see what happens. And a few weeks went by and somebody actually bought it. And I was shocked because I didn't actually have the product. I just had an image of it. And so now I was like, well, now I have to figure out how to print this and get this to this person. And so my solution after trying it on my home printer and almost throwing it out the window was I better just have like the local office store print these. So I went and picked them up. I had to hand cut all of them. Then I had to go to the craft store for the right size envelopes. I mean, it was just an ordeal. And I didn't have packaging, so it's like in a Ziploc bag in this mailer. And I still think about that very first person who got that very first pack of invites and what a haphazard mess it must have looked like. But, they didn't return them. So they must have used them, even if my packaging wasn't beautiful. And so, after that first sale, it's like, well, okay, I guess maybe I have something here. And so I just started adding more. And I started thinking, well, what other things can I make and what other things can I add that I can produce so that I could make it for them and it's shipped right to them. So thank you cards was one of the new things I added. Stickers became a quick item that I added and things just started selling. And so on Amazon, you're familiar with Prime, if something's Prime. So to have your items be Prime, you have to ship your inventory into Amazon. and then
Oh.
they ship it, and that's how you get Prime.
Oh,
So I
okay.
wasn't doing any of that. So my customers were waiting for me to ship an item, and they were paying a shipping cost. And so I thought, well, what if I had items available for Prime? I bet you they would sell even faster. So my first inventory investment was $750, and I was panicked. I thought, I'm never going to figure out how to pay this back. But I had a hunch that if they were available for Prime, they were going to sell pretty fast. So I invested the $750. I shipped in my first set of inventory, probably about 9 months after I started selling on Amazon. And I was right. Anything that was available for Prime started selling 10 times faster than anything that wasn't. And things really just took off from there. And I started just kind of doubling down on what was working. And so invites were selling, so I added more invites. Stickers were selling, so I added more stickers. And I just started getting more and more creative about what kind of party supplies can I produce and have ready to go for moms, because obviously this is what they want. They want it shipped right to them, ready to go. They don't want to have to print and cut. And I think it was just a year and a half after I started selling on Amazon, we hit 7 figures in sales. And so
Wow,
we're
that's
very, very
incredible.
fast.
That's incredible, Amanda.
So looking back on the whole thing, I truly believe that I wouldn't have looked for a different opportunity had I not been banned from Etsy, because things were going really well. I was really happy with that. I was really excited about my business, and I wouldn't have thought, well, it could be way better. It could be 10 times more, 20 times more. That didn't cross my mind. And so looking back on that event, I can see that that was clearly the universe steering me in a different direction for something better. It did not feel like it in the moment.
It never does. It never does. No, that Holy Shiftball moment is painful, friggin' painful. And we hate it and we fight it and we're mad about it. And we're trapped in victim mentality because we feel sorry for ourselves. Oh my God, this is what happened. Look what happened to me. But then you took shit and made it shine. You turned it into gold.
I sure did. And then it kept
Awesome.
growing. It kept growing. And so we hit multi-million-dollar level in 2022. And my husband quit his job somewhere in there. And he works for me, which is a lot of fun.
Yes, girl.
Calculated.
I noticed a little hesitation there before you said
No, we love it actually. He
Okay.
I know, sure. Yeah,
eight
that's
years.
wonderful.
Yeah,
That's
no,
wonderful.
he's great. He does all the things that I don't love to do, which is great. So he handles like inventory and numbers and spreadsheets, and I get to just do my creative stuff, which is what I'm the best at. So it's wonderful having him around. And he's been able to walk the kids to school and put them on the bus and do the class parties. And so it really is a dream life, which wouldn't have been possible
Yes.
on that Etsy income. And so,
Yes.
it really was a moment of the universe just going, no, I have something better for you. And that's probably the biggest one I've ever experienced. And after experiencing that, I can recognize those moments a little better now and handle them a little better now, but they're still difficult when they come around. But I couldn't talk about that for years. Now, on the other side of it, I can see why it's one of the best things that ever happened to me.
And it is difficult, but I can see how what you do in supporting other female entrepreneurs, because how you're successful in that, because you experienced a devastating turn of events, and yet you dug deep, you took a step back. What's right about the situation? What can I do about the situation? How do I overcome this? And got back on the horse, and away you went. So congratulations to you.
Thank you.
How do you find with women who suffer setbacks? Because I'm sure with some of the women that you've worked with, they get their business up and running, things are going fine, and then they suffer a setback. How do you coach them around that, or how do you get them to stay heart-centered and come out on the other side?
Yeah, usually it's simple mindset shifts. It's just looking at things from a different perspective. A lot of times, the perspective of being the one going through it, it's really hard to see outside of your own situation. And so sometimes it's just as simple as telling them how I see it from my perspective. And I think the really helpful thing is that I've just been through some really, really difficult things. That's only one of them. And so I'm able to understand that the struggles that they're having are difficult seeming to them, but in the scheme of things, they aren't really that difficult of setbacks. Most setbacks can be overcome. And any successful entrepreneur that I know, 100% of them, the only reason they're successful is because they kept going when there was a setback.
Yeah.
It's the only reason.
The challenge becomes opportunity.
Yep.
You know, that's something interesting that Sharon and I we often bring to our clients and into our conversations, you know, our personal conversations. You know, we've always been told, well, this is wrong. But Sharon and I have taken a different outlook, is like, what is right about this that I'm getting
Yes.
wrong? You know, instead of making it wrong, what is right about this that I'm not aware aware of? So what is right about it that I'm getting wrong? So yeah. What's one piece of advice, guidance that you could give to us and to our audience that is in the beginning phases of starting up a company? You know, starting a brand. What would be one piece
Yeah,
of
that's a
advice that you
good
could share?
question. Well, I do want to share, just in the scheme of your business, no matter where you're at, the universe is always working in your favor. And so if you can think about it that way, and you know that if you trust that and believe that, then whatever you're going through is really for your highest good. And so that makes getting through those
Absolutely. Mhm.
easier. As far as like beginning stages of business, I think one of the most impactful things that I've had in my journey is surrounding myself with people who are in a similar spot as me, and having friends to talk to, and having people who are going after their dreams at a similar level that you're talking to on a regular basis. Because a lot of times entrepreneurship is lonely and we don't always feel support, especially if we didn't grow up around entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs can look a little on the crazy side, you know.
You're preaching to the choir, baby.
We think a little different. We think things about things a little different. And if you don't have entrepreneurs around you, you can feel a bit crazy. I remember walking into my first networking event, and it was like a weight had been lifted off of me. I was like, there are more people like me. I'm crazy. And just having those friends to talk about those big dreams and talk about the goals, and especially if you're in similar areas. You know, I worked for a competitor, but that was one of the best things because we learned so much from each other. Nobody's your competition. You should be
Right.
going out and finding somebody who's doing the same thing you're doing, and you build together alongside of each other, because your clients are different from their clients. So get those friends.
That's
Yeah.
wonderful advice. Absolutely fabulous. And it's hard because the people around you are so used to the 9 to 5. You get a job, you go to work Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, you get weekends off or whatever, but you're working for others. So when you start to try and grow a business and work for yourself, you get a lot of pushback. Like, what are you doing? Well, you shouldn't be doing that. That's not that. No, that doesn't fit their model of the world. So they don't want you to do that. So it's
That's
hard
so
because
true.
you feel like, what am I doing here? But it'll pay off in the end.
Yes.
Absolutely. 100%. You just have to have that belief system.
Well, Amanda, what kind of, I remember we talked to you before we had you on the show, and if memory serves me correctly, you are building a community, aren't you?
Mhm.
I am, yeah. So after all this experience in building my business and all the ups and downs of entrepreneurship, I'm feeling called to help other women build their business as well, because I have so much experience and I have so much to share, and I know that I can help them through the struggles because I've actually been through them. And so, you know, you're struggling with how to price your products fairly. Like, I've done that. You're struggling with imposter syndrome. I've gotten through it. You know, every hurdle that a business owner faces feels like they're the only one that's facing it, but it's not true. Anybody who's farther along in business has just overcome that. And so some of these things, I'm like, you can get over it. I promise. It feels like you can't, but you can, and I can help you. And so I created this community called The Creator Unleashed as a way to bring women together so that they can build their business alongside other women, but then also have guidance from somebody who has done it. And I'm doing it at a can't say no price. It's not one-on-one coaching, but you have access to me and you can ask me anything you want about your business and I'm here to help you.
That's fantastic.
Nice.
Where would women join
Nice.
this community? How would they find you?
Yeah, I have a link. It's not a pretty link, unfortunately. So if there's show notes or something like that, I can share in the show notes, or you can find me on Facebook. I have a business page that's just my name, Amanda Wittenborn, and there's info there too. So.
All right,
Fabulous.
Amanda. Well, we're dialing the frequency all the way up right now, and we're gonna hand you we're gonna be handing you a stack of life moments, business blips, and cosmic curveballs. You tell us straight up if it's shit or if it's actually a shift in disguise. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, I'll go with the first one, Sharon. All right, so you get a sudden urge to scrap the whole collection. Is that your intuition whispering you in a new direction? Is that shit or shift?
I'm gonna say that's shit. That's perfectionism. That's overthinking.
Okay.
That's distraction. That's doing work to feel like you're making progress and being busy, but that's not productive work to scrap all that you've already created and do something new. I think that's overthinking and perfectionism.
Perfect. Perfect.
Love it.
Okay. So, Amanda, building your business around your life, is that a radical shift or is it shit because hustle culture thinks that you shouldn't be having fun?
Oh, I'm not a fan of hustle culture. So shift it is. We should be building our business around our life and not the other way around. I run my business doesn't run me. And I've built my business so that it works the best for me. I'm not a morning person. So I don't create meetings at 7 a.m. I mean, I get to sleep in. I don't do a 5 a.m. club because I don't like 5 a.m. And that's why I run my business, is so that I can do things the way I want in a way that feels good for me. And we should all be running that way. No hustle culture.
Yes, love that. All right, you load a new product. Spotify gremlins duplicate all 42 variants. Is that shift?
I mean, unfortunately, that's just some bullshit you have to deal with in business. I've had that happen so many times. It's not even funny. There's a couple websites out there right now that have duplicated some of my products that just need time taken to go take them down. I've been counterfeited. I've had people copyright infringement against me. I mean, I've had it all. And it's just part of business and protecting what you've created. And it's not a fun part of business, but it's not shifting you to do something else. It's you got to take care of your business.
Wow.
Yeah.
You have had a lot of experience with various different things. So, Amanda, trying to be everywhere, everything everywhere all at once, is that a superpower or is it just absolute shit with bonus overwhelm?
That's shit too. We can, but not at first and not all at once. And so one of my favorite entrepreneurs, what I love most about him is he picks one new thing to do for a year, and he'll learn one new
Oh,
platform, and he will optimize it and streamline it and get it to a point where he can do whatever's necessary for that platform in 30 minutes to an hour a week. And then at the end of the year, when he's operating that new system at 30 minutes to an hour a week, then he starts a new one. But if you're trying and you're just starting, you cannot optimally run multiple social media sites, multiple different branches of your business. Just like when I first started, it was only invitations. Now I have 30 or 40 different kinds of products and I have 8,000 products total. But
wow.
we couldn't have done that at the beginning. I started with 10. So you got to start, get really good at it, and then add something as you go.
All right. A customer sends a 7-paragraph email. They need a custom design with 18 revisions by tomorrow. Yeah, that sounds like. What would that be? Would that be a shit or a shift?
Who's the customer? Random person or somebody I really like?
Right. I mean, that sounds like.
Is it my best
almost
friend?
torture.
She would never do that to me.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of those moments where you run the business and you get to decide. And so, I had somebody emailing me wanting custom stuff done on Thanksgiving, and that didn't work for me. And so I have really strong boundaries, and I don't work on Thanksgiving, and so I didn't respond to the email. And so I guess maybe that's a way of the universe just kind of like testing, like, how serious are you about protecting your peace? And so, I feel like
Little
that's been going
shift.
a lot. Yeah, I mean, that's been
Yeah.
happening a lot lately for me, is there's all these
Yeah.
little kind of dings against those boundaries. And it's like, how are you going to handle
Mhm.
this? Are you going to shift from what you've set for
Mhm.
yourself and kind of lean into some stuff that doesn't work for you? Or are you going to stay firm in what works for you? And you get an opportunity to make that decision every time you get a crazy customer order request that needs it done tomorrow.
Okay, Amanda,
Yeah.
last one. Trying to copy someone else's blueprint, expecting it to magically fit your life. Is that strategy, or is it shape-shifting shit that never works?
It does not work. That is also BS. What works for somebody is not going to work for you. Now, if you want to take a couple pieces of that you think feels really good for you, and then do those couple pieces along with your own, that would be a good strategy. But straight up taking somebody's blueprint and trying to make it work for yourself, I've never done that. I've always wanted to do things my own way, in a way that feels good for me. And I feel like because I've had such a focus on that from the beginning, that is what really has built this and made it work, because I'm able to stay in such a high vibration in what I do that it attracts people to me, because they want to be around that kind of energy. I've never sacrificed any time with my kids, because they were very little when I started doing this, and I always wanted to be around for them. And so, one of my boundaries is like, I won't miss a concert. If they're in a concert, I'm not going to miss a concert for this business. I'm not going to miss something important for this business. And I've just worked it in along the way. And yeah, that's not what the gurus out there say to do, but yet
Exactly.
somehow I made it work.
Mhm.
Good for you.
Well,
So you're like Frank. You're doing it your way.
That is it. Really.
Thanks for that, Ron.
well, Amanda, we are so grateful that you came on to the Holy Shift Ball podcast this week. What a great awarenesses that you shared with our audience. How can any one of our audience or listeners on the radio be able to contact you? How can they, what websites, if they wanted to schedule or get into one of your communities, how would they go about getting a hold of you?
Sure, I'll give you a couple things. If you are interested in my party business, just because you want to see what kind of fun things I make, that's amandacreation.com. There's no S on the end of that. You can find me on Facebook. I have a business page with my name, Amanda Wittenborn. Or you could email me, my name, amandawittenborn@gmail.com.
Awesome, Amanda. Awesome. Thank you so much for your time today.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you for having me. This is such a fun podcast. I love it so much.
Thank you.
Thank
Wonderful
you
to
so
have you.
much. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Ron.
Have a great
I'll
day,
let Ron.
Amanda.
Wow, Sharon,
Wow.
that was, yeah, girlfriend. That was
I love it.
fun.
Because she's been there, she's done it, she's experienced
Yeah.
it, and so she's not just walking the walk, like she's not just talking the talk, she's walking the walk, she's walked the walk. So being in her energy and being exposed to her wisdom would really, really be beneficial to female entrepreneurs. I encourage anybody who's listening or watching to reach out to Amanda if you're starting
Yes.
a business. 100%.
Yes, for sure. Well, Sharon, who do we have on the podcast next week, girl?
Next week, we have a lady by the name of Patricia Loft. She's the creator of the Healing Mastery System. She trains those facing serious diagnosis using the most powerful branches of medical Qigong to heal themselves holistically. She's done it for herself. She healed herself holistically. And so now she's helping others. And I can hardly wait. She's very interesting. I love Patricia. She's amazing. And she's Canadian. So we get to have a Canadian on the show. Woo!
Yay. Yay. Well,
And
yeah.
for
We'll
those
make
of
it-
you listening on the radio, if you wanted to watch us live, you can catch the show at YouTube at Holy Shiftballs, or there's replays available as well. You can watch replays on Facebook at holy.shiftballs, or you can also catch it on Rumble at Holy Shiftballs. So yeah, if you want to watch it live or just be able to see our beautiful faces, then we encourage you to join us.
So remember, Sharon, until next time, remember when life kicks you in the balls, be sure to log into your Holy Shiftball podcast. We'll see you next week. Bye.
And where we turn that shit into shift. Bye-bye. Yes.